Hi. Hey everyone, before we get started, if you're watching this video in June of 2025, I'm having a sale for Pride Month.
Hi, gay. Happy Pride Month.
Until the end of June, all my trans voice courses are 30% off using code PRIDE2025. This includes mindful voice feminization, masculinize your voice without testosterone, and mix and match designing your non-binary voice. All 30% off during the month of June using code PRIDE2025. Find the links below.
Sashay into a deal today.
We are sashaying into deals.
Now back to the video. Hi, I'm Renee and I'm a gender affirming voice teacher. And today, we've finally done it.
Because they said I couldn't have it.
We've created the ultimate guide to trans voice training.
A little bit much.
That's good.
Acting. Whether you are trans, non-binary, gender non-conforming, questioning, or just curious about everything your voice can do, this video is for you. I believe that there is no wrong reason to train your speaking voice. And the more that we can normalize the process of modifying the speaking voice, the less stigma there will be. To me, it's not any different from changing your hairstyle or your wardrobe.
Clothes, treat yourself.
In fact, it's even easier than both of those things because you can get started right now for free exactly as you are. You don't need prior voice knowledge, hormones, surgeries, or a letter from a psychologist. So let's get started. So what is gender affirming voice training? Also called trans voice training, voice feminization or masculinization, and much more, gender affirming voice training is the process of consciously modifying the speaking voice to create a new one that brings comfort and safety. This is done through a long-term process of training with specific voice exercises. You can think of it like a cross between a physical exercise like weight training and learning a new instrument like the piano. It can take a long time to see results. You have to be conscious of your form and mindful of injuries or fatigue, but over time, the movements become second nature as new habits form. Everyone's goals and motivation for voice training are different. Some people have particular voice goals in mind, and some are willing to simply see what their voice is capable of.
I was just along for the ride.
Some want to prioritize creating a voice that gives them gender euphoria when they hear it, and others want to prioritize creating a voice that elicits the desired reaction from strangers. Some people want to sound more like their mom, and others want to sound nothing like their mom.
No, Mom, no.
There are so many ways to undertake the process of trans voice training. Some people seek the help of a professional, such as a voice teacher like me or a speech-language pathologist, while others self-direct their study, or as a meme once told me, only train around transphobes. Chaotic evil, training in front of transphobes. There needs to be like a dangerous part of this alignment chart. How you decide to train depends on your learning style, access to insurance and health services, your schedule, and so much more. There are many paths in trans voice training, but the right one is the one that works for you. And while these services are mostly sought out by trans people, like all gender affirming care, there are plenty of cisgender people who also seek to modify their speaking voice.
All for one and one for all.
So how does your voice work, and how are we able to change it? The magic starts here, in your neck. If you press gently, you may be able to feel the shape of your larynx, otherwise known as your voice box. Your larynx houses your vocal folds, also called your vocal cords. And when you phonate or make sound, you may be able to feel them vibrating. Ah, ah, ah. Your larynx sits atop your trachea and is suspended from your hyoid bone in a cage of muscle. It can move up and down, such as when you swallow or yawn, but fun fact, it can also be manipulated side to side. Muscles inside and outside your larynx are active in yawning, swallowing, coughing, and speaking. They control the pitch of your voice, how breathy it sounds, and more. And speaking of breath, the airflow of your breath also impacts the quality of your voice. For example, louder sounds require higher air pressure and lower volume, and breathier sounds require more air volume but lower pressure.
Now, breathing. Brett, you've got to remember to keep breathing, okay?
Above your larynx is your vocal tract, which consists of your throat, mouth, and nose. Changing the size and shape of the vocal tract changes the color of the sound produced by your vocal folds. You do this every day when you create different vowel sounds. Eow. When we do gender-affirming voice work, we modify the size and shape of the vocal tract, the height of the larynx, the configuration of the vocal folds, and more. That might sound like a lot, but you do all that every day in your regular speech. Just like any kind of exercise, you may be using your muscles in a new way, but those muscles haven't been dormant. You use them all the time. If you want a more detailed dive into vocal anatomy, check out my free ebook, Learn How Your Voice Works, a Trans Vocal Anatomy Guide, linked below. So, now that we have an idea of how the voice works, what do we need to do to alter the perceived gender of your voice? In my courses and with my private students, I focus on 4 main areas: resonance, pitch, vocal weight, and inflection. And since this is the ultimate guide to trans voice training, we're going to look at all of these today, starting with resonance. Okay, this is where I'm afraid I might lose a lot of you because the topic of resonance is notoriously overwhelming and sometimes challenging to understand. But Pinky promised me right now that even if you start to zone out, stay with me because you might gain some clarity with all the pieces of the puzzle put together.
Later, we'll go for ice cream.
Resonance is the word that we use to describe the changing color of a vocal sound independent from pitch. Okay, this is already kind of confusing, so let me just show you. Are we getting the picture here? Everything I just demonstrated was sung on one note. The actual frequency I was singing was not getting higher or lower, but you heard a difference, right? The quality I'm modifying is called resonance. I label these colors as bright or dark to differentiate them from pitch, but your ear will at first probably perceive these sounds as indistinguishable from high and low pitch, which is why resonance is such a powerful tool.
How'd you do it?
Magic.
If the terms resonance, bright, and dark are not resonating with you, some people prefer to refer to this quality as vocal space and qualify sounds as small or large, correlating to the size of the vocal tract.
Got it? Good.
The important takeaway about resonance or vocal space is that this is the quality that has the largest effect on the perceived gender of your voice. Let's see this in action. First, I want you to whisper hello. Hello. Now, I want you to whisper hello in a higher pitch. Hello. Now I want you to whisper hello in a lower pitch. Hello. Hear the difference? Well, psych! I tricked you. Whispers don't have pitches.
I can't believe you fell for the oldest trick in the book!
What you are hearing is the difference in resonance or vocal space. If you can make your whisper sound different in this way, then you can adjust the resonance of your speaking voice. Check out my resonance playlist on my channel for more resonance exercises. Now, let's check out pitch. The pitch of your voice is a measure of how high or low it is, as read by a tuner. It's also called the fundamental frequency of your voice. When you make a sound, the vocal folds come together and vibrate in little waves. The stretch of the vocal folds and the speed of the airflow would determine how fast they vibrate. The tighter the stretch, the faster the vibration, and the higher the note. It's like the Jaws theme. Yeah. In the last section, we talked about resonance and how the vocal tract modifies the sound created by the vocal folds. It's important to understand that you can never hear the pitch of your voice without the effect of the vocal tract. To hear just the pure tone of your vocal folds, you'd have to take your whole head off.
Well, I hate that. Just tell us what you know, please.
We can measure the pitch of your voice using a tuner, but always remember that one single pitch can sound many different ways. Was it the same?
That was actually great, yeah.
Was it all the same frequency?
Yeah, it barely fluctuated by like a hertz.
Told ya. In gender-affirming voice work, we are often working on raising or lowering the average pitch of the voice. Some people, though, find it easier to choose a pitch range and work towards staying inside that range rather than working towards a new average pitch, because speech is expressive with lots of highs and lows.
I know Kung Fu.
I know Kung Fu. They know Kung Fu.
Still no Kung Fu.
Many people think that pitch is the most important quality of the voice when it comes to trans voice training, and then they worry that they'll have to make big changes here. But since resonance is the quality that actually has the biggest impact on the perceived gender of the voice, sometimes even small shifts in pitch can be super effective. I go into way more of my feelings about pitch in my voice tools video. Let's see pitch in action. Count 1, 2, 3, and using a tuner or an instrument, try and figure out which note you're starting on. 1, 2, 3. 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 2, 3. Pick a new starting note, slightly higher or slightly lower than your original starting note, and see how that changes the other notes of your sentence. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. If you're working on raising your pitch, you might want to be aware of your pitch falling dramatically when you relax at the end of a sentence. Listen to the difference with and without that relaxation. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. There are many ways you can work on pitch, but remember that human voices are very dynamic and your pitch will naturally have some variability. Check out my pitch playlist on my channel for more pitch exercises. Vocal weight describes the heaviness or lightness of a vocal sound, which is controlled by the physical thickness of vocal folds and how much they are pressing together, also called adduction. If you remember from earlier, higher notes are vibrating faster because they are stretched tighter. This tighter stretch also means a thinner vocal fold. Just like how when you stretch an elastic band tight, it gets thinner than a loose one.
What are you doing?
Stretching?
This is why higher notes have a naturally lighter sound. But if you want to make the sound of a higher note thicker or heavier, you have to press your vocal folds together more. On the flip side, lower notes sound naturally heavier because the vocal folds are naturally thicker, and you can lighten them by reducing the vocal fold pressure. I like to think of vocal weight as a spectrum between buzzy and breathy, with balanced in the middle.
Well, to actually get all the words, not all jumbly-wumbly.
BBC News in London, I'm Lakshmi Singh. In
English!
I'd like to order dessert with milk, please.
In addition to these dynamic changes of vocal fold thickness, your vocal folds also have an intrinsic thickness that is determined by your physiology. For example, those who have experienced a testosterone puberty will have naturally thicker vocal folds.
Yeah, she's thick. What? You can hate people and still think they're hot.
If you have a naturally buzzier sound and you want a more balanced sound, you may want to work to bring your vocal folds together more gently in phonation. If you overcompensate, however, you could end up with a breathier sound, meaning the vocal folds aren't in complete contact. Those seeking to create the thickening effects of testosterone may opt for a more percussive attack, which creates more vocal fold pressure and a heavier sound. An important note with this quality is that everything I've mentioned today only works at an average speaking volume. When we get into shouting, things are different. One of my favorite ways to experience vocal weight is with the chicken neck exercise.
You, chicken?
To start, you're going to phonate on an open ah vowel. Then, without changing your pitch or changing your vocal tract at all, i.e. just keep your face totally relaxed, you're going to retract your head so that your chin is compressed into your neck. like this. Then you're going to move your head forward so that the front of your neck elongates, like this. It's important to also keep your upper body stable while doing this. If you move your chest back and forward, you won't get the same effect. So by compressing and elongating the neck in this way, we mechanically thicken and thin the vocal folds, allowing us to hear what different weights sound like. Listen to this. Ah, ah. Once you find one you like, you can work towards maintaining that feeling in the neutral position, like this, for example. Ah. So this is more balanced or lighter. Ah. And then I can try and maintain it in the neutral position. So as with other characteristics, I also have a playlist for vocal weight that you can go ahead and check out. Lastly, inflection. Inflection is the quality that creates character and gives your sentences meaning.
Inflection is so interesting.
I usually split inflection into two sections. One, contour, referring to the spread of pitches used in speech. You can have a wide contour, meaning that you have a wider spread of pitches to your voice with lots of highs and lows, or a shallower contour, meaning you use fewer pitches or have a more monotonous voice. A wide contour is sometimes seen as more expressive and playful, and a shallower contour is seen as more serious. 2, emphasis, referring to how you stress words or syllables in your sentences. You could emphasize using pitch. How are you? Or volume. How are you? By stretching a syllable. How are you? And more. As you can see, inflection uses the other vocal characteristics we discussed in previous parts of this video: pitch, resonance, and vocal weight.
Yes! Oh my God, yes! With exactly that inflection.
So while you can think of inflection as its own characteristic, I sometimes think of it as the other characteristics in action. To see this in action, let's do an exercise from my course, Mix and Match Designing Your Non-Binary Voice, called Once More with Feeling. First, we'll say the word ridiculous. Say it as if you're reacting to something. Ridiculous. That's ridiculous. Now, say the word again, but be more expressive this time. That's ridiculous. Ridiculous. Notice which syllable is stressed. In the case of the word ridiculous, it's the middle syllable. Now, try emphasizing that syllable in different ways. By increasing the pitch, ridiculous. By increasing the volume, ridiculous. By stretching the middle syllable, ridiculous. Which one feels best for you?
It's just a matter of emphasis.
Check out my inflection playlist for more about this characteristic. So now we've looked at vocal anatomy, vocal characteristics, and more, but you may still be wondering, how do I get started creating a voice that gives me a sense of safety and comfort?
Yeah, what they said.
It can be easy at first to be overwhelmed with all the information that's available out there. So if you're brand new to the practice, I always recommend starting by getting to know your voice and how you like to practice in a neutral setting where your success or failure at performing gender is not a factor, and exploration is the goal.
It's really all about the journey, isn't it?
To do this, I would start by doing a regular warm-up a few times a week or every day if you can manage that. I have a free follow-along voice warm-up that you can access on my website right now. By warming up regularly, you will deepen your understanding of your voice, develop a practice habit, and confront the silliness of voice work head-on. All things that are super important to your success in gender-affirming voice work. Once you start to become comfortable with having a vocal practice, you can either start to incorporate exercises that target these individual characteristics, or you can use imitation to practice speaking in new ways without the need to break things down by characteristic at all. Over time, through regular practice and experimentation, you will start to hone in on a voice that feels good for you. The next step is bringing that practice and experimentation into everyday life so that you can overwrite your old vocal habits and create new ones. I tried to make this video as comprehensive as I could, and as you can see, it's a lot longer than our usual videos. Sorry, T.
Today we are canceling the apocalypse!
But if you want more detailed information and a ton more exercises, I recommend checking out one of my full-length trans voice courses: Mindful Voice Feminization, Masculinize Your Voice Without Testosterone, and Mix and Match, Designing Your Non-Binary Voice. In my courses, I walk you through everything you need to know to help you create a voice that brings you comfort, safety, and gender euphoria. If you're watching this video in June of 2025, you can get 30% off now by using code PRIDE2025. That's all for today. I've been Renee, and I hope this helps. All right, energy. This is a high energy moment.
Energy.
Energy. I'm ready.
Yeah. Like.
You can throw it into the outtakes.
Okay. All right. Joke's on you. I've been.
You. How dare you?